Some of Us, A Story of Citizenship and the United States, is a nonfiction picture book about the many paths to becoming a naturalized citizen. It celebrates the contributions of people from all over the world who contribute to the fabric of America. Hi, I'm Dan Skinner, and welcome to the Kids Bookshelf. Ahead, we'll explore the book and talk with the author about the inspiration behind it. Rajani LaRocca is a physician and an author of books for young readers, including Midsummer's Mayhem and Summer is for Cousins. She also received a Newbery Honor for her novel Red, White, and Whole. She joins us to talk about her picture book, Some of Us, A Story of Citizenship and the United States. Rajani, welcome to the Kids Bookshelf.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Now, this is a picture book that I'm assuming is inspired in part by your own real-life journey to become a U.S. citizen. So tell us about your experience that helped maybe inform this book.
Yes. So the way that this book came about was I was at a writing retreat with other writers and some editors. And it was the last meal of the last day. We were having lunch around a table. And I'm not sure how the topic came up, but it turned out that three of us at the table of about 8 were immigrants to the United States, and we had all become naturalized citizens at one point. And we each shared our naturalization stories. And I thought to myself, and I said it out loud, I don't think there's a picture book on this topic about how people who move to the United States from another country become citizens. And I said, I think I need to write this book. And one of the editors at the table, who is also an immigrant, said, please do write that book because I would love to publish it. And so I wrote about it. And my story is that I came to the U.S. as a baby. So I was just a 1-year-old. My dad had already applied to become an immigrant years earlier. So because his chance to come to this country came up and he couldn't delay it, he actually had to leave India before I was born, like the month before I was born. And so he didn't get to see me for the first year of my life because he wanted to make sure that he had a place for us to stay and a job so that he could take care of me and my mom when we came over. So I came over as a 1-year-old and I grew up in the United States and mainly grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. That's where I was raised. And when I was 6, my dad became a U.S. citizen. He could have just added me to his citizenship application because I was a child. But he thought that he wanted me to choose when the time was right to become a citizen myself. And so when I was 15, I made the decision to become a citizen. And I, having grown up here and kind of gone to school here, I didn't have any problems with the citizenship test. You have to kind of learn some basic things about the U.S. government. So that wasn't too challenging. And when I got to the naturalization ceremony where you become a U.S. citizen, I didn't think it was going to be a big deal because I felt American. But I looked around at that room. It happened to be a courtroom, and there were all these people from all over the world speaking all kinds of languages. And there were little kids, and there were adults, and there were older people. It was so poignant to me. And it was something that I would never forget, even though I was 15 and felt like I kind of knew everything at that point in my life. It was just really wonderful. It was a wonderful experience. And that night we celebrated with some friends of ours and they brought a cake that said, "Welcome to the USA." And, I burst into tears. I didn't think, I'd been in the USA, but it was just really beautiful. It was just a way of welcoming me to citizenship, which was really important. And so that I tried to channel that energy and emotion into this book.
So give us an overview. Tell us about what people were going to find here in the book.
Yeah, so it is a beautiful book. It's illustrated by Huy Voun Lee, who is also an immigrant from Cambodia. And it's lyrical, poetic even. There aren't too many words. And what the story talks about is how some of us are born American, some choose. So it talks about how people come from all these different places and come to our country. And it mentions why they might come. Some people are asked to come because they have talents or skills, or they can do a certain kind of job. Some people are trying to escape war and poverty, but all of us are looking for freedom and opportunity. And then it talks about how if some of us are lucky, and if we've been here for long enough, we can study for a test, take the test, go through an interview, and eventually become citizens. And then it talks about what the citizenship oath is about, which is swearing allegiance to the Constitution of the United States. And then it kind of ends with, reiterating that some of us are born American and some of us choose, but that we are all American. And then in the back of the book, there is an author's note with some more facts about the history of immigration and naturalization in this country, and some more resources where people can learn more.
And I want to talk to you about some of the things you have in that back matter in just a moment. But a quick reminder, this is a picture book. So for what age group is it intended?
So I believe the picture books are for everybody, but you could read this to children as young as 4. So 4 to 8, I think, is the sweet spot for children. But I think anyone can read a picture book and learn from it and enjoy it. And
often children are being read to by adults. So
Yes.
Do you kind of keep that adult audience in mind as well?
Yes, I think that's one of the big challenges of picture books, is that it has to appeal to both the youngest kids and the adults who are reading to them. And I think that spare language and beautiful art help to do that for both sets of people.
Can you read a small portion of the book for us to give us a flavor of what readers are going to find here?
Absolutely. Some of Us, A Story of Citizenship in the United States. Some of us are born American. Some choose. We may come from across the world or quite nearby. Some of us are babies carried in hopeful arms. Some are 6 or 16 or 60. We leave the countries of our birth and come here by boat and plane and car and train and foot. We leave loved ones, important jobs, beloved places. We leave behind all we know. Some of us are invited to study or work because of particular talents or training. Some flee war, oppression, poverty. We all deserve safety, respect, opportunity. So then it talks a little bit about what immigrants bring: languages, cuisines, customs, clothing, stories, histories. And we bring the threads from the countries of our birth and add to the rich tapestry of our new home, a place we grow to love. Then it goes through a little bit about what it takes to apply to be a citizen. And then it says, and then we take an oath, not to the president, not to Congress, but to the ideals of the United States: freedom, justice, peace, equality. We make a promise. I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We pledge true faith and allegiance.
I'm talking with Rajani LaRocca about Some of Us, A Story of Citizenship and the United States. And our conversation will continue. If you're enjoying this discussion, please subscribe, like, and click on the bell so you know when I post new interviews. And thank you. One of the things I like about the book is it does celebrate the contributions of immigrants to the fabric of our nation. And at the same time, remembering that it's important to not forget where you came from and to celebrate your culture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that, it's really interesting. When I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, I wasn't sure whether I should celebrate where my family came from. But I lived it, especially every weekend. That's basically, we hung out with our Indian American community. But as I grew older, I realized that it was really important to do both. And, growing up in Louisville, Kentucky, I have to tell you, there were some wonderful things that the city did to celebrate all the different cultures that existed within the city. They used to have these things called heritage weekends during the summer, where every weekend there would be 2 or 3 different ethnic groups, and they would be celebrating them. So people would come, they would bring their food. There would be dance performances and singing performances, and our community participated every summer. It was a big deal, and it was so wonderful. And we got to taste the culture of all these different kinds of people in the city.
I want to talk a little bit more about the back matter in the book. You noted that you have an author's note. So tell us a little bit about what you include there.
Yes, I wanted to talk about the history of immigration and naturalization in this country. And, it was not always fair, I will say. I think our country has grown up as a country just as much as any other place in the world. And, we were founded on certain ideals, but it was clear that the ideals weren't a reality for most people when our country was founded, right? Initially, so the Declaration of Independence says all men are created equal, right? But in the beginning of our country, the only people who could be citizens and could vote were white male landowners. And that was a tiny percentage of the population. So it wasn't until after the Civil War that Black men got the vote. It wasn't until much later that women got the vote, in 1921. And it wasn't until the 1965 that Asian Americans got to vote. So that got to be naturalized and vote. So that was kind of shocking to me. I didn't realize, I didn't know all of that history. And it was surprising. So clearly this is still something that we have to contend with as a society, but it's clear that for a democracy to flourish, that as many people as possible need to have a say.
Another thing you have at the back of the book are a list of rights that apply to all of us as U.S. citizens. Tell us, you don't need to read all of them because we don't have time for that, but you might highlight some of the rights that you spotlight here in the book.
This is the rights of all people based on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights by the United Nations. And so it talks about how all of us are born free and equal and should treat one another with dignity and respect. We all have the right to live as we wish. We all have the right to work, to live healthy lives with food, shelter, safety, and education. We all have the right to hold opinions, even if they're different from other people. And I think the most important thing is that we, the people, are the basis for government. I think that's so important. And I think it's important to think about, certainly for our country, but for all countries, right? Countries are meant to serve the people that live in them, not the other way around. And so I think the more that we keep that in mind, the better it's going to be for people and for the entire world.
Well, this is a very positive book. It's an uplifting book. It's patriotic. There's a lot of red, white, and blue in this book. But I do have a question for you. What word of encouragement might you give someone who is wanting to become a U.S. citizen, but might be discouraged by what's going on right now politically in regard to immigration?
I would say that politics swing one way and then swing another in our country, just like they do in other countries around the world. But that our Constitution is the same. Our Constitution holds that everyone has certain rights, whether or not you're citizens. That's what's interesting, right? So that those of us who love the Constitution and those of us who care about our country, welcome new people to become citizens in our country. And I just would remind everyone that unless you're a Native American, all of us, our ancestors came from someplace else, right? And our families have all contributed to this country. So that's as true today as it was in the past. And so I would just say that I hope that people who want to become citizens get the chance to do so because they're already here doing so much to enrich our country.
Well, congratulations on having this book out in the world now. What's next for you?
Thank you so much. I have another picture book this year called Fall is for Beginnings. That's coming out in August in time for school to start. And it's about a little boy who is excited to go back to school and see his best friend. But there's a new girl in town, and she says, I just know we're going to be best friends. So he's not sure how to contend with that. She's a lot. So it's a book that celebrates the beginning of school and also the beginning of a new friendship.
To learn more, the picture book is Some of Us, A Story of Citizenship and the United States by Rajani LaRocca. Rajani, thank you for talking with me today.
Thank you so much, Dan. I had a wonderful time.
If you would like to purchase Some of Us, I've placed a link for you in the description below. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe, like, and click on the bell so you know when I post new interviews. Meanwhile, here are 2 more books you might find interesting. Well, thank you for watching this edition of the Kids Bookshelf. I'm Dan Skinner. Until next time, keep sharing the gift of reading.